Yeah. There she is. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I apologize. Those of us on WebEx just got added. We now can see you and hear you. Did we have any bill introductions or?
We did not. Will you give us an overview on 2143? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. House Bill 2143 relates to retailer sales tax and would remove the sunset of the exclusion of certain cash rebates by motor vehicle manufacturers from the sales or selling price for purposes of sales tax calculations. Currently, the definition of sales or selling price excludes cash rebates granted by a manufacturer to a purchaser or leasee of a new motor vehicle if paid directly to the retailer as a result of the original sale. There's a specific time period on that exclusion from July 1st of 2018 through June 30 of 2021. The bill would amend KSA 793602 to remove that sunset provision that ends the exclusion June 30th, 2021, thereby allowing this exclusion or exemption of the cash rebate from the calculation to continue into the future. And this bill would take effect from and after publication in the statute book, and the bill passed the House on March 4th on a vote of 119 to 4, and I would be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? Amelia, this is the same as the Senate bill that was heard except excluding the sales tax on manufacturers' coupons. Would that be correct?
Yes, that is correct. This is only the motor vehicle rebate provision.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody we've heard this a couple of times. So thank you. Dan, welcome to the committee. Senator Corson. No, that's fine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. Can you just tell us what the vote was on this in the House?
I think she said 123 to.
It was
119 to 4. And this is a rookie question, so I apologize. Does this have any impact on the stream? Has this been flagged for any potential issue with the streamlined sales?
This does not impact streamlined.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, welcome to the committee. Don, my apology. I don't know why I kept saying Dan. No wonder you looked at me when I was like, okay. Yeah, but I wish I could say it's Monday, but it's not. Well, welcome back. Your microphone's on, but they're not hearing you online. Can you get a little closer to the mic? Maybe that would. Thank you. Committee, any questions? So I've heard rumbling of a possible 3-year sunset extension again. I'm just would like you to have the opportunity to comment on that. Thank you very much. Committee, any other questions? Seeing none, Dan? Dawn? I apologize. I know you well, Dawn, and I can't believe I did that. Thank you very much. Yes. Is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Anybody that would like to testify neutral on the bill? Anybody that would like to be an opponent of the bill? Testify as an opponent? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on 2143. Committee will open the hearing on 2313. Amelia, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank
House
you.
Bill number 2313 would amend KSA 795107 to allow the property tax exemption that provides exemption for up to 2 motor vehicles. It would extend that property tax exemption to current members in good standing of the Kansas Army or Air National Guard or a unit of the reserve forces of the U.S. military. The provisions would be applicable on and after December 31st of 2021. And the bill passed the House on March 4 on a vote of 123-0. And I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? Senator Steffen.
Thank you. Save me from looking it up. When did this thing start originally?
This is new legislation? Is that what you're asking?
When this originally started, I think December 31st of 2013, is that right?
Amelia, is that correct?
I don't, Madam Chair, I have not, I would need a little time to look back to see when the provisions about the 2 motor vehicles was originally added to the statute.
So why
It's
don't-
evolved over time. I can tell you, I did look.
Amelia,
I
why
don't
don't
believe-
we do this? Why don't we go ahead with the conferees and you can go ahead and look that
Okay.
up while the conferees.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Amelia? Seeing none, we'll come back to that. Thank you. Eugene Bradley, welcome to the committee.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm pleased to be here. As you just pointed out, Senator Steffen,
And I apologize, I'm getting lax on this and I need to get better. So for the minutes, could you state your name and position?
my name is Eugene Bradley. I'm the legislative liaison committee chairperson for the Enlisted National Guard Association of Kansas.
Thank you.
Good. And just to help potentially answer the question, I'm sure Revisor's Office will help confirm this, but 2013 was the last time the latest amendment went into effect. We've been fighting this particular piece of legislation since then. I've got 2 members with me, one from the Officers Association and a recently retired Troy Abel here, who've been leading the way on this charge since 2013 to alleviate this error. And as she pointed out, this bill grants all military members in good standing the same vehicle exemption that active duty members currently receive in the state of Kansas. Currently, there are 6,400 guardsmen and only 1,000 of those members actually receive this benefit due to the orders that they're currently on. I'm one of the fortunate ones that my family and I get to take advantage of it. But there are a lot of members out there that are the ones that are volunteering for emergency deployments, volunteering to report to DC, volunteering to fight forest fires and take care of towns and cities after tornadoes hit our state or flooding. Name a national disaster that Kansas is privy to. We've got National Guardsmen responding across the state. pretty much every day. Most recently, we can take, for example, the technicians that work for the fire department at Forbes Field. They're not on the type of orders that they need to be able to take advantage of the vehicle exemption, but they're the ones responding and for mutual aid to help fight the wildfires that we had last week. This is an issue that we've been fighting for, and I believe this is the year to fix it. After 2020, when we had guardsmen responding in every single county across the state for COVID-19 relief, and we continue to respond for vaccination and whatever support that the governor or president of the United States asked for, we are an active force. We're no longer a reserve force. When General Hokanson, Chief of the National Guard, stopped by Forbes Field, he took the time to meet with some of the guardsmen, and he talked about a lot of the legislative efforts that he's prioritizing, including fighting for benefits that to have the National Guard reach parity with their active duty brethren. And this was just a great example of the way Kansas can meet that charge and continue to proudly take care of the guardsmen that serve the great state. I got the chance to ask him, what does he say to legislators like yourselves when he's standing in front of them trying to sell something like this? Granted, this isn't a huge bill monetarily, physically. We're talking about 0.4% of total vehicle registrations being affected. But how do you sell these selling points to legislators in D.C.? And his point was tell the story of the National Guard. And as you all know, National Guardsmen in Kansas live in our communities. They come from Kansas, and they're going to stay here in Kansas when they retire. And this is just one more benefit the great state can give them to match what they're already giving the federal soldiers and the airmen in the state. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Committee, any questions? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here today. The question I asked, how come they were left out in the first place?
Thank you, Senator. Originally, the amendment that gave this benefit for two vehicles mentioned the word active. And that word active in the legislation prevented National Guardsmen that are not on AGR orders, Title 10, Title 32 status, to actually receive the benefit. I'm glad you bring this up because you want to talk about taking care of Kansans. All of the treasurer's offices across the state will thank you for this bill. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but they are not, the members in the revenue offices across the state are not order specialists. But the bill, the way it's currently written, the statute, the way it's currently written, is asking them to be order specialists and take a look at orders and determine whether a guardsman is eligible or not, based on the type of orders they're on, based on the month that their car vehicle registration's due, and a various number of those factors. This simplifies it for everybody.
So,
Senator Alley.
thank you, Madam Chair. So if I hear you right, then when they're out on active duty, they can take their orders to the county clerk or county treasurer and say, I want a property tax rebate for this amount of time that I'm on active duty.
No, sir. Currently, under the way it is written, if you are not on orders during the time that your vehicle registration is due, you get zero exemption across the board. When this bill was originally passed in 2013 or 2012 and to go into effect in 2013, the intent was to give it to all guardsmen and all reservists across the state.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Thanks for being here. So I just want to go back to the original bill then. Is the concept basically for the current folks that qualify for this, is the thought basically because they're active, somehow they're using their vehicle as part of their mission because they're active, and that's why, I want to understand the original policy nugget as far as why the current active folks get don't have to pay property taxes on their vehicles. Is it because that vehicle is part of their mission because they're active duty?
That's an interesting question. I don't want to speak for the people that originally pushed for this bill. I know for the sake of guardsmen across the state, I believe that's absolutely 100% the case. You're talking about guardsmen that are driving in no matter, I can speak to the number of technicians and active AGR soldiers reporting to Forbes Field, no matter whether it's rain, snow, or shine outside. It's we're the ones responding across the state, putting our vehicles at risk. I completely see that as a part of it. For the active duty side, I believe it's more along the lines of when they're moving into the state, it's one less headache for them and one more reason for them to make their residency here in the state of Kansas to pull in extra income tax dollars, or however you would like to see that, that if they're register their vehicles here, the state of Kansas still receives the tag fee, but won't receive the property tax from that. So there are several different angles that you could look at it. It was why it benefits the state and why it also benefits the military.
Okay, and a couple of questions, Madam Chair, I'll be real quick, is that okay?
Yes, Senator.
Do others, what do our surrounding states do as far as this?
I can't speak to that. I haven't done quite enough research on that aspect of it to see how some of our neighboring states, they're ahead of us in some tax areas, but I'm not sure as far as the vehicle tax is concerned.
Okay, and then, just so I understand too, it sounds like maybe it was more of a, let's provide additional benefit than versus this is really part of their mission. That's why we should, is that what I'm hearing you say? Basically, that's why the original thing was granted. It was more viewed as a benefit versus this is part of the mission?
In a way, it's making sure we take care of our guardsmen.
Okay.
Whether you want to look at it as far as being a part of the mission and making sure we meet mission readiness by having the soldiers and airmen have a little bit more money in the pocket to take care of their families, that goes into mission readiness. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be it's part of the mission as well as a benefit.
Okay. I guess the only point I was driving at is that if this was more just, this was to help the active actually fulfill their mission, then to me, it would make total sense that we allow everybody else that's active to have this as, I mean, the other folks to have this as well too. But if it's more of a benefit, that's what I'm trying to drive at. And I guess my third question would be, as we move forward on these types of pieces of legislation, do you imagine folks will be coming back to say, now let's give all the retired military folks, you know, property tax breaks on their vehicles too? Just where does this go?
Well, I think we're all familiar with the story of if you give the mouse a cookie. But at this point in time, we're not here asking for extra benefits. We're here generally, specifically, asking for the legislation to be corrected to reflect what the intent was in 2012, 2013. An additional thing I'll fill you in on as far as active duty goes versus the Guard. The active duty generally doesn't have to drive 3 or 4 hours to report to duty. Like a lot of our National Guardsmen that are driving in from other states, we've got my unit has a member that flies in every month from Massachusetts for drill. We've got members that will drive and report however far they need to make sure that they're there for drill and to make sure the mission is accomplished. And that, from that aspect, I believe the Guard is just as deserving or more deserving than the active duty brethren.
Well, I would strongly agree with you, and I would just say that to me, if it's to fulfill the mission, I think the Guards ought to be able to have this benefit them because that's how they get to where they're serving. So thank you for your testimony today.
Thank you. Committee, any other questions? Senator Kirshen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for showing up here in your testimony. Are you a guardsman for life? I mean, in quote, maybe not active, but does that count as forever once you've?
Me personally, if they'll have me, I always serve at the pleasure of the governor and the president of the United States. I currently have 14 years in, and my wife, who works out of Kansas as well, if she has her way, I'll stay in the Guard because she loves the health care benefits that go along with it and all the other factors. But I love my job and I love taking care of the state, and that's why I'm here today.
Any other questions? Seeing, okay, yes, absolutely. Senator Stephan.
Thank you. So is there, like, if you were to retire, if anybody was to retire from the Guard, would they lose this property tax benefit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Committee, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Sure. If we do have a little bit of time. Yes, just really quickly, state your name, rank, and then you will have to send us written testimony. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. Thank you for this opportunity. Eugene's done the line. Oh, I'm sorry, Troy Abel. I'm the secretary of the Enlisted Association of Kansas. I also serve on the National Enlisted Association. I just wanted to stand up to clarify a few points because I know you have some really good questions, and sometimes I know I've testified up here before. You get lost in what you want to say, and it's hard to break it down into layman's terms. So to a couple of your questions, Senator Holland, yes, it was as a benefit. Because at the time in 2013, our numbers were going down, and we still struggle with recruiting. So it was a recruiting incentive per se, but it also, as Gene said, it does help because if you're on active duty orders, you can claim your mileage to and from the base. If you're a guardsman going to drill weekend, you are not allowed to claim that mileage. So they're not covered for that mileage. And I believe that went in 2013 as a part of the mindset. There are three different statuses of guardsmen: traditional guardsman, who's your weekender; a Title 32 technician, who is a civil service technician; and an active guard and reservist. Where this thing went south is back in 2013 when they drafted the bill. It said for all active guard and reservists. Well, as you all know, especially in law, the words have meaning. So active guard and reservists automatically gave it to the what we call AGRs that work as active guard and reservists 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So they were the only ones from the Guard that got it. But it gave it to all of the military folks, the active military folks in the state, which is great. However, those are not the folks that are responding to state disasters. And 99% of the time, those aren't even citizens of Kansas. They're transplants that are here on active duty that are here, which I think it's a great benefit for them. But the original intent of the bill was to give this benefit to all National Guardsmen in good standing. Having retired 2 months ago, I'm no longer eligible for this, but I was a mission support group superintendent, and I had recruiting as part of my group that I was over as an enlisted chief. And I can tell you they're still looking for folks, and we're trying to keep that end strength up so that we can respond to all of these disasters. So that was the major thing, was to just fix this. And to your other point, yes, there will be, we've already had questions from retirees saying, well, when are we going to get this? To me, it's not even a starter right now. We just want to fix that original legislation and get it for National Guardsmen. Myself, I did my time. I'm getting tremendous benefits as a retiree. This is for the folks that are going out and doing the job right now, and so that's where that intent stays. So,
Thank you. Senator Stephan.
Thank you. Thank you. 2 vehicles versus 1. How did it end up being 2 originally?
I can't speak to that. I really don't know. I think it was just because, typical, the average household has 2 vehicles. I'm guessing, and I'm totally speculating. I would have to go back and do the research to find out how they arrived at that. But I honestly, again, I'm purely speculating. I don't have that information.
Committee, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
So, anybody else would like to speak to the bill? I would thank you 3 for your service. Thank you. Is there anybody that would like to be neutral on the bill? Any opponents to the bill? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2313. Oh, wait, I apologize. Amelia, did you have a response for Senator Stephan?
Yes, Madam Chair, I
Thank you.
haven't gone completely back in time, but I do have some information that might help answer part of the question. The first question, I pulled session laws back to 1990. And there was a version of this exemption at that time. It has developed over time. There were amendments in 2004, 2005, and then in 2014. For your information, from the 1990 version, and actually it existed prior to that. I just haven't gone back further in time than that. This is what I've had time to select. At that time, the provision was an exemption for any motor vehicle owned by a resident individual who is in the full-time regular military service of the United States and absent from this state solely by reason of military orders, and the motor vehicle is maintained by such individual outside of the state on the date of the individual's application for registration. It's developed over time. The 2 motor vehicle restriction, the not more than 2 motor vehicles, was added in the 2004 session of the legislature. And then, as you heard from testimony today, the provision relating to Guards members and reservists was added in 2014 with an effective date of on and after December 31st, 2013. If you have any further questions, I'll see if I can try to answer.
Okay, thank you, Amelia. Senator Stephan, did that answer your question, or do you need more information? Okay, thank you. Senator Alley.
I'm not sure who this is for, but if you have a guardsman that's out of state and drives in, can they register their vehicle in Kansas and be no property tax?
Eugene, would you like to try to?
Yep. Eugene Bradley. Unless they're actually residents of Kansas, they are not able to take advantage of this benefit. So they would have to at least move their residency and pay more taxes in the state of Kansas before they're receiving this benefit.
Okay, but I'm thinking the ones that are on guard duty, you wouldn't do that. Okay, thank you.
For the record, this committee is trying to make it so that you would pay less taxes when you move to the state of Kansas. Thank you. Committee, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2313. Committee, we do have a presentation with Amy. She does have information for us. Amy, I don't know where you're going to start. I know that one of the issues that we are going to cover is the sales tax on, well, I'll just let you get started, but I know we do have some questions so that we have a potential to work Senate Bill 87 that was before the committee. So are you online, Amy?
Yes.
Great.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, I'm Amy Kramer with the Department of Revenue. And I have been asked to present some additional information about local sales taxes. You should have a one-page handout. Local sales taxes in Kansas originated in the late 70s in 1978. City and county governments were given authority to impose local sales taxes, and this is and an election is required by the electors in that jurisdiction to impose the tax. City sales taxes and county sales taxes are handled differently. Cities may impose a rate not to exceed 3%, and those rates can be in 0.05% increments. Counties have different authority. The counties, we're going to think about this in 2 different categories. So first of all, counties can impose a general sales tax not to exceed 1%, and the rates have to be in quarter-cent increments. And these county general sales taxes are distributed between the incorporated cities in the county as well as to the county itself. And this is based on a formula that's in statute. And the statute, the formula has 2 different pieces, and I have it outlined in my handout. Half of that distribution is based on the population in the city or in the unincorporated area. The county gets to count the unincorporated area. And then the other half of that is based on the property tax levy in each jurisdiction in the previous year. And again, the city gets the incorporated part, the county gets the unincorporated part. And so we adjust those ratios every 6 months. The population adjustment occurs in the summer. The property tax adjustment occurs in the winter. If you do want to see how your counties are affected, we do publish all of those ratios on our website, and I can send you the link to that. So that's generally how the general county sales tax works. Counties also have authority for dedicated sales tax, and we're going to split that again into two components. The statute allows any county in the state to impose, again after an election, a dedicated sales tax of up to 1% in quarter-cent increments, specifically for health care services in the county. And there is a list of a fairly inclusive list of healthcare services in the statute. That's things like county hospitals, health departments, EMS services. There's a list in the statute of what qualifies. So that's half of the dedicated sales tax piece. The other half is that there are some certain counties that have come to the legislature and requested legislation so that they could hold an election again to enact a countywide sales tax for dedicated projects. And there's a rate cap that's included in that legislation, and then it's also specified what that project would be. Some common ones, this is not everything they've asked for, but some very common ones are for construction or remodeling of county facilities. Typically that is some type of law enforcement or detention facility to build or modernize those. Courthouse remodeling is very common. You also see road and bridge projects that counties have asked for. And there are a few counties that have asked for other things such as economic development programs. County and city sales taxes do change. They do have the opportunity to change those quarterly. That is limited in statute, just so it's not overly burdensome on our business community. So currently 308 cities impose a citywide sales tax, and 94 counties impose a countywide sales tax. And then to break that down a little farther, 81 counties have a county sales tax that's distributed via the formula, and 50 have a county sales tax that we distribute solely for a dedicated purpose. And so those numbers don't add up to 94. So we do have some counties that have one or the other, and then we do have some counties that have both the formula general sales tax as well as at least one dedicated sales tax. And then just to close out my written comments, on the back, you had asked for some information on sales tax filing frequencies. And so there's a table on the back that shows the tax due, the filing frequency, and then when those returns are due based on those filing frequencies. And I'll just leave it at that, and you can review that table.
Thank you very much, Amy. The first part of your presentation basically deals with Senate Bill 87, and the second part is a hearing that we will have next week. I think it's 233, if I remember correctly, on sales tax. So, committee, do you have any questions for Amy? I know this is an interesting issue. We were getting feedback, I'm sorry. Are there any questions for Amy? Amy, I would ask, and maybe you'll have to get back to us on this, but a little bit of history as to why a county-wide sales tax would go to a municipality to distribute and to decide how much the county's getting.
I do not have the history. Like I said, this legislation, this law was passed in the late 70s, and I do not know why the legislature chose to include this formula in the in the law. It seems, just from observing, it does seem that when they passed this law, it was more focused on the cities rather than the counties. And I don't know what the rationale would have been at that time.
So Amy, it says 308 cities. I know we have quite a few more cities than that. Of those 308, do you know how many are at the 3%?
I could go back and look. I know we do have some cities at the 3%, but I would need to go. I can put together a list of who's at the 3% and get back with you on that.
That would be great, because I do hope that we can work Senate Bill 87, and I want to have the full picture of what we do. We're not looking at doing anything retroactive, but possibly going forward. Committee, any other questions for Amy? Amy, would you mind being available when we have the hearing next week on, I think it is 233, and when we work those bills, possibly tomorrow and next week?
Yeah, I can be available.
Okay, I have a feeling there might be some questions come up when we do that. Okay, thank you. Committee, currently, I know I've stated it before, but businesses pay an estimated sales tax in advance instead of, and so that's what Senate Bill 33 looks at, is that it would change that so they no longer pay an estimate. It would be an actual payment of sales tax. There is a fiscal note. It's a one-time shot. It would just be a delay in the payments until it was actual. So we will have a hearing on that bill next week. Are there any other questions for Amy or anyone? Seeing none, committee, I will give you a heads up. We are planning on, we do have work hearing Friday. We don't have time to work a bill today, but I will get you a list. We plan on working bills tomorrow and Friday, hopefully, and then we'll have a few hearings next week, and this committee will finish up its work. Is there any other business to be brought before us? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.